Hello, hello, welcome back to Riyadh, welcome back to what has been a quite unforgettable fight week here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We are now just hours away from the day of reckoning, perhaps the greatest boxing show ever put on in history. And with me today, I mean, it's all about the weigh-in today, and with me is a man who has done plenty of weigh-ins in his time, former WBC World Super Middleweight Champion Richard Whittle. Richard, great to see you.
Yes, thank you, Dev.
And of course, Andy Clark, who I'm sure you could probably make Super Middleweight as well, right?
Ooh, not sure. Not sure these days, to be honest with you.
I think you've got it in you. Listen, I'm going to bring you in here first, Richie, just because you've done plenty of these final weigh-ins, you've done plenty of these face-offs with fighters as well. Do you look forward to them? Do you look forward to just getting them out of the way?
Yeah, it's a classic case now of just wanting the weigh-in to be over, really, because most of the fighters will have dried out. They won't have eaten so much, they won't have drank a lot over the last 24 hours. I know most of them are heavyweights, but even so, they'll have optimum weights where they know they're going to perform best at, and they'll be disciplined and they'll want to stick to those weight regimes. So, yeah, certainly now it's a touchy time for the fighters. They'll be irritable, they just want to get it out of the way, and thinking about tactics obviously to the fight. But yeah, this is a big day for them.
And it will be the final time that they see each other before Saturday night. Do you ever take anything away from the final kind of stare down? When you were a fighter, did you ever try and gain an edge? Did you ever try and, I don't know, get in their head? How was it for you?
For me, it was quite calm, actually. I never really bit that way, and I never tried to wind my opponents up. I know what was going on, and I was just waiting for that bell to go, obviously, the next day. But what is interesting about the weigh-ins, you can look into the opponent's eyes, you can see if they're drawn, if they've made the weight right, if they haven't, because that'll certainly affect their performance. So you can take a lot from the weigh-in in how they've actually made the weight.
Be very interesting because, Andy, as we know, at heavyweight, you know, they should be in better spirits than perhaps when they are trying to make weight. We should have happy heavyweights, but I don't think we will have that, Andy.
Not necessarily, because I think they are just really looking forward to getting this done. And as you say, this is the last time they have to face each other until they come to the ring tomorrow night. And it's been a long week for them. They've been around each other a lot, more than they would have wanted to be every day for 5 days in a row. But now they know after this is done, they've at least got 24 hours where they can just get into their own head, have a think, make those final preparations, knowing that the next time they see them, it'll be when there's just the two of them and the referee in the ring and they're ready to go.
And they really do things in style here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Of course, myself and Andy, I think you were out here as well for the Battle of the Baddest for Fury versus Ngannou. I mean, it's also a lot of work for the fighters to constantly keep talking to the media, and perhaps that's why towards the end they don't really want to do it so much.
They don't want to do it so much because it's a distraction at the end of the day. They won't enjoy, they don't enjoy these days, they don't enjoy the press conferences because it's a distraction, especially fight week. All you're thinking about is tactics. You're doing your final preparations with your coach on the pads, going through tactics or whatever. Then you're pulled away from that situation. You've got to go to a press conference. Sometimes you've got to meet your opponent, which you don't really want to meet them beforehand. So yeah, it is, like I say, it can be an uneasy time for a boxer in those final preparations, and they certainly won't enjoy any. I mean, there's that many distractions here. It's a fantastic place. They're really doing it to, top spec. But to fighters, they just want to get in that ring and hear the bell.
What's been interesting in the build-up to this show in particular, there's been so many kind of promos, there's been a couple of big press conferences, there's been gatherings where they're getting together at His Excellency's house. These fighters are in each other's company quite a lot. They will be sick of the sight of each other.
Oh, they absolutely will be. And actually, if you go and look backstage, what's interesting about it is that the dressing rooms for Joshua and Wallin, Wilder and Parker and Dubois and Miller, they're kind of in the guts of the arena. So if you go down the tunnel, if you like, as you would at an arena anywhere or a football stadium, their dressing rooms are off the corridors. So you shut the door and it's private. The other 5 fights, they're more out in the open because this is a huge place. And they are all situated in kind of porta cabins with glass fronts, very smart porta cabins, either side of a stretch of AstroTurf, and they're opposite each other. So Philip Hrgovic and Mark Mori are opposite each other. They can see each other. If they wanted to, they could go out on the kind of raised decking at the front and just stand there and stare at each other. So even today, in the holding area, they are right opposite each other, in each other's faces, as you said.
I think the stakes are very high as well, aren't they? Because they'll want to perform really well here. That's the thing. They know that there could be 4 or 5 promotions here a year. This is what they're talking, and so they'll want to be back in maybe February when Tyson Fury fights Usyk. Then there's another show apparently there could be one in March, so they'll want to be on that. So the stakes are high. You've got to perform well. You've got to entertain here. That's the big thing. If they're in entertaining contests, if they really go for it, they'll be asked back, and that's a big thing.
And Richie, I know you've been studying the weights. You know what these guys have weighed in previous fights. Are you expecting any kind of surprises today? I know at heavyweight, maybe you can't make too much of it anyway because they're big guys, but are you expecting any surprises?
Not really. What I am expecting is the boxers to be very, very disciplined. Like I say, they'll have optimal weights themselves where they know they perform best at. If you're 10 or 12 pounds over that weight, even if you're a heavyweight, it's like boxing with 5 bags of sugar around your waist. It's weight that you're carrying that you shouldn't be carrying. So they've got to stay disciplined. They'll want to perform well, and that's what I'm expecting: discipline and good performances here.
And what about these face-offs? I mean, for Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallin, they've faced off a couple of times now. At the launch press conference, there was a little bit of finger-wagging. There was a little bit of "don't be shaking my hand if you're going to be talking like this." What are we expecting today from them?
You never really know until they get into that face-off, because I think sometimes you do want to try and make a point. I feel like Anthony Joshua will want to try and make the point to Otto Wallin that I am a more imposing physical specimen than you. Height-wise, they're about the same. I'll be interested by Joshua's weight, because he was around about 240, but the last couple of times he's been 255 and 250. Joey Essex joins us. Joey Essex, how are you?
How are you?
Very well, thanks. I've seen you down the Matchroom gym a few times. I know that you do a little bit. You've run that dreaded triangle with the other guys with Tony Sims. So you've got a big interest in boxing.
Pardon?
You've got a big interest in boxing. You have had for a long time.
Oh yeah, I love boxing. Yeah, my whole my family do it. My mother's a boxer, obviously. Tony's mine. So yeah, I've got a big interest in it.
What are you expecting from Anthony Joshua on Saturday night? A big, important fight for him. Has to win, right?
I think AJ's got it. I think AJ will go for the knockout. He seems a lot more serious this time. He seems a lot more like himself. I feel like he's going to get a knockout.
Are you looking forward to seeing anyone else on the bill? Anyone in particular that you're looking for apart from AJ?
I mean, Wilder.
Wilder,
of course,
yeah.
Of course, everyone would love to see the fight between AJ and Wilder, but I mean, if Wilder wins and AJ wins, I think that's got to be the fight, right?
I mean, that seems to be the collective hope. I think everyone's crossing their fingers for that. You must have seen a lot of Wilder's knockouts. Have you got a favourite Wilder knockout? Favourite AJ knockout? You watching boxing? Come on, what you got?
I don't know. Do you know, it's really random. I've literally just got here and they've just sent me in here. So it's so random to be right now on live TV talking about this. But yeah.
Listen, you are very welcome to be here. Tell me this. What about Big Baby Miller? You must have seen him, Jarrell Miller, the big guy.
Oh yeah,
he's been talking trash.
He was giving it to someone backstage. Was it AJ?
Just now?
Oh, just now?
No, I mean, he's been giving it to people in the build-up.
Yeah.
What have you made of him?
I mean, he's just Larry, isn't he? I reckon I'll knock him out.
No.
Yeah.
No. Goodness me. Wow, so has Joey Essex just called out Jarrell Big Baby Miller? Is that what we've just seen, gentlemen?
He's in decent shape, but I don't think he'd fancy it with a 330 pound Jarrell Miller.
These weight classes are a bit too big for me.
It's a fight that Daniel's got to win, though, hasn't he, Daniel Dubois? It's a fight that Daniel Dubois has got to win.
Yeah.
He absolutely does. Joey, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for calling out Jarrell Miller live on air. Goodness me.
All the best.
Well, that is Joey Essex. I mean, perhaps a future fight between those guys. I'd love to see them shape up. I mean, the size of Jarrell Miller's head just yesterday, compare that to Joey Essex.
You never know in boxing these days what can happen, you know, with a white collar or whatever, but it's good to see him actually. He's a big fight fan, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I'll tell you, he's very, very fit. He was on that SAS show, the celebrity one, but I have seen him down the Matchroom gym often. I think he spars every now and again, but they run this thing called the triangle outside the Matchroom gym, basically whereby there's 3 sides to it, obviously. The first one's uphill, the second one's slightly downhill, the third one's flat, and it's 1.1 kilometres, and you have to do it in under 5 minutes. And whoever finishes first, the rest then get a minute after he has finished to rest, and then you go again, and it's as many as you can do. And I think the fitter lads can do 6, maybe 7. I've walked it, and it looks absolutely horrific. Yeah. I mean, you'd have eaten it up back in your heyday, Rich, but I've never fancied it.
Have you ever done it?
No, Tony invited me a couple of times in the after the old hamstring went.
Yeah, love it.
Let's talk about Daniel Dubois, right? That press conference yesterday, we had all these characters up there, all these egos, all these guys who can really talk. I think Daniel Dubois might have stolen the show yesterday.
You know what? I was quite impressed with Daniel Dubois yesterday because he sort of come out of his shell a little bit, because normally he sits back, he doesn't say a lot. I like Daniel, he's a good lad, but he came out of his shell a little bit. He goaded Big Baby Miller, and I like that actually, because it was a side to him that we don't see much of. But in terms of the fight, I think he's got to box at range with this fight. If he trades with Miller, Miller's going to be really brought into it. Then it's anyone's battle. If Daniel can box long behind that jab, that straight right hand, and just maintain a gap, I think he beats him quite comfortably, because he'll hit him, but he's got to move his feet a little bit and just maintain that gap. If he allows him to come forward, then it's a much harder fight.
How much of this fight is mental? How much of this fight is going to be played out in Daniel Dubois' head, and making sure that he's not taking in Jarrell Miller his insults that will inevitably be coming his way in the ring?
Yeah, I think with Daniel, that is mainly the problem. It is mental, because you look at the ability he's got, you look at the investment that Queensberry have made in him, the belief that they've got in him, and Frank's had loads of heavyweights down the years. He knows what he's looking at. He knows that it's in there. It's just a question of getting it out of him, because in his two biggest fights so far against Joyce and Usyk, and obviously the Usyk's supersonic level, it hasn't gone his way. But again, I've liked what I've seen from him this week, and it was the timing of what he said yesterday that I enjoyed, because Miller was just beginning to get rolling, and then it was equivalent of just hitting him with a jab that rocked him back on his heels. Then all of a sudden Eddie Hearn piled in, and Miller for the first time this week was a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But now what will happen also, he should draw on that experience of the Usyk fight, the Usyk situation out in Poland, absolutely massive, you know, and he's been beaten, but you know, he knows he's been in with either the best in the world, or certainly Tyson Fury is the best in the world in my opinion, but one of the best heavyweights in the world, Alexander Usyk. So he's looking at Baby Miller now, and they'll have got it into his head. Technically, he won't be as good as Alexander Usyk. He won't. He'll be probably more dangerous because of his weight. And so if you fight the wrong fight against him, you really bring him into it. But in terms of the stage, obviously it doesn't get bigger than boxing Alexander Usyk, does it? Apart from Tyson Fury maybe. So he can draw on that experience, and I liked what I saw with Daniel. He looked confident.
He has looked confident all week. I think Big Baby Miller has actually given us a new Daniel Dubois. He seems to have brought something out of him. Actually, the last time I saw Daniel Dubois kind of half pipe up at a press conference was when Tom Little, way back in the day, was also sticking it on him, and then Tom Little, hey, it didn't end so well for him, so maybe similar punishment for Big Baby awaits.
Yeah, it could be, but this is so important for Daniel. It really is make or break, because if he doesn't do it against Miller on this kind of stage, then they will begin to doubt the people who have backed him up until this point, whether he can produce under pressure, and that's what it's about, isn't it? Because boxing history is littered with fighters with gym fighters, we describe them as, who are amazing in the gym, great in sparring possibly, but we don't quite see it on the night, and nobody wants to be one of them.
I think he's got the tools, because I used to pad him a lot at GB when he was on the GB squad. He had the best jab at GB. I've seen him have some really good spars with AJ, with Joe Joyce, with Fraser Clark. He had some great spars and held his own with all those boxers. He had a fantastic jab, so he's got the tools to beat anybody. Now he's just got to have the mindset, and I think he's gaining in confidence now and experience. So I'm expecting again a disciplined display from him, sticking to tactics, listening to his coach and getting the job done. Not an easy job, but he could make it easier by boxing the right way.
Well, you talk about mindset there, Richie. Mindset seems to be the buzzword of the week. Everyone's talking about what's going on in these fighters' heads, and no more so than Anthony Joshua, perhaps the most scrutinised athlete right now in the world. Everything he does, people look at it. So what have you made of his demeanour this week, and what have you made of how he's approached everything? How do you think he's going to get on Saturday?
I think he clearly now, because of the experience that he's had, he doesn't enjoy these situations. He doesn't enjoy the press conferences. He doesn't enjoy speaking to the media. He really doesn't, because he's seen it so many times. He's been pulled here and there, and he doesn't, in a way, he doesn't like the limelight anymore. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and hopefully that will turn him to make him concentrate more on his boxing. The fight itself, it's a tricky fight. Valin's good kid, he's very good at boxing on his back foot. He can go forward very well also. Technically good. Doesn't do anything devastating, but does everything quite well, if you know what I mean. So he's pretty basic, but does it well. Nice high guard, works well behind his jab. Southpaw, so he can make it difficult. I would like to see Otto Wallin going forward, because I think that makes the job easier for Anthony Joshua to land the right hand. Any southpaw on his back foot, an orthodox fighter's got to travel a little bit further with that right hand to hit the target. If he's moving away from it, it can be more difficult. If AJ can get him to come forward, he brings him onto the right hand, I think he'll knock him out. How long it'll take, maybe into the second half of the fight, but I really believe that AJ's got his number. He's sparred him before, he's also beat him twice as an amateur. Inside, that really means something, Dev. Trust me, when you know you've beat your guy, you beat him twice. So I think he'll knock him out.
And Andy, you talked about how Otto Wallin, perhaps, you know, with some of the things that he said, he's been fairly vocal out there. He doesn't really realise he's being vocal. He says he's just being honest. But there's a feeling that maybe he's talked himself into a bit of a hiding. Is that your feeling?
I mean, it could be the case. It could be the case, because I think with Anthony, like Richie said, earlier in your career, you can buzz off the size of the event, you can maybe feed off what your opponent says, but the more times you've been through this, the less likely that is to happen. But you will be quietly taking everything in, and I think you will look at Wallin and just think, okay, we used to spar, we fought in the amateurs, now all of a sudden you've got a lot to say. Just remember where you've been and where I've been. I'll show you on the night what's what.
Yeah, and there's been that demeanour in sort of the face-offs. We're going to head over now to our MC for the evening, Thomas Treiber.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official weigh-in as we get set for Day of Reckoning, a great night of World Championship boxing to be held tomorrow, live from Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We would first like to extend a big thank you to His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and His Excellency, Chairman of the General Entertainment Authority, Turkey Al-Sheikh. This great event is being presented by Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions for Riyadh Season and National Event Center in association with the General Entertainment Authority, Gold Star Promotions, and Sella. It will be televised live globally on DAZN pay-per-view in the UK and Ireland on TNT Sports Box Office, and in the United States on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Let's now welcome our first two fighters competing tomorrow in a scheduled 10-round contest. It will be for the WBC Continental Americas and NABO Heavyweight Championships. It is brought to you in association with Lou DiBella's DiBella Entertainment and Warriors Boxing. Let's first welcome the challenger, coming to us from Otahuhu, New Zealand. He brings a professional record of 20 wins, 2 defeats, with 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Let's welcome Junior Fa.
Only 2 losses in his career so far. He's come here and he's got a great task in front of him in Frank Sanchez.
Yeah, he has indeed. It's a tough fight.
And now
indeed.
we welcome the defending champion, a native of Guantanamo, Cuba, now fighting out of Miami, Florida, USA. He is undefeated with 23 wins, 16 of his 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBC Continental Americas and NABO Heavyweight Champion, Frank the Cuban Flash Sanchez.
Frank Sanchez, highly ranked by all the governing bodies, widely seen as one of the best heavyweights out there, and expected to pick up a big win on Saturday night, pretty much.
Yes, still undefeated, great mover, comes from that Cuban school of the amateurs, and yes, very impressive indeed, this fella.
First, Junior Fa. $278.9 for Junior Fa. Now to the scale, Frank Sanchez.
278.9 for Junior Fa. He's a big man. Let's see how that compares to Frank Sanchez. Unbeaten Frank Sanchez now on the scales.
238 pounds for Frank the Cuban Flash Sanchez.
he was last time. Junior Farr has put a bit on. He's just under 20 stone, 19 stone 12, so 10 pounds heavier than he was last time. And when you're talking percentages at heavyweight,
once again, ladies and gentlemen, these two competing tomorrow night.
In a way, it's neither here nor there. 10 pounds is a reasonable amount.
WBC Continental America and NABO
Junior Farr has got to drag Frankie Sanchez into a
Championship.
real scrap, because Sanchez is a good mover, he's a lighter man, and Junior Farr knows he won't be able to outbox his fella, so he's got to try and draw him in, get him to hold his feet, and then get him to trade. If he can do that, then he's in with a shout.
Oh, absolutely. He's under no illusions whatsoever, Junior Farr. It's been great fun in fight week. He's coming here with a plan, though. Frank Sanchez will have completely different ideas. It's not often that someone will take a fight with an unbeaten good Cuban, so fair play to Junior Farr for standing up to it.
What do you have to do to win this fight?
Win by any means necessary.
And what is that going to be? What is necessary tomorrow?
Sticking to the game plan, doing everything that we've been training towards for the last 6 weeks. Execute on the night, come away with the win.
Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Junior Farr. Let's go speak now to Frank Sanchez. Waiting for his translator. Hola.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
He's being billed as a future world champion. What does he have to do tomorrow night to be successful, and what does he want to show the world?
Está preparando como el futuro campeón. ¿Qué es lo que necesita hacer el día de mañana para poder llegar a eso? No, el día de mañana pues ganar, y si se puede noquear, pues vamos a noquear. Pero venimos con todo, venimos bien preparados, vamos a ganar. Tomorrow I have to win. If I'm get the knockout, I'm gonna get the knockout.
All right, he's looking for the knockout. Good luck to you tomorrow night. Frank Sanchez.
Sanchez has made it pretty clear that he is indeed looking for the knockout.
Let's now welcome our next two fighters competing tomorrow in a scheduled 10-round international heavyweight contest. First, let's welcome, coming to us from Perth, Western Australia, bringing a professional record consisting of 41 wins, 2 defeats, 2 draws, 36 of his 41 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is Mark the Viking de Mori.
Well, here comes Australia's Mark de Mori, a huge underdog. Tomorrow night taking on the IBF mandatory. Filip Hrgovic has got it all to do.
Yes, he has indeed, and he knows that. I'm expecting Mark de Mori to give it everything the first 3 or 4 rounds and just really go for Hrgovic.
Coming to us from Zagreb, Croatia. He was a 2016 Olympic bronze medalist, and now as a professional is undefeated with 16 wins. 13 of his 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is Filip El Animal Hrgovic.
Well, Filip Hrgovic has said that he intends now on hurting Mark de Mori after some of the comments this week. He's in a great position with the IBF as well, Richie.
Yes, he is indeed. Obviously, he's the mandatory. I thought actually Mark de Mori was quite complimentary to him yesterday in the press conference, but Hrgovic wasn't having any of it.
Mark de Mori.
Says it's personal now.
Yeah. And then banged the table.
242.6 for Mark the Viking de Mori. Now to the scale, Filip Hrgovic.
Well, Filip Hrgovic is taking on his second Australian in a row, last in against Dempsey McKean. Stopped Dempsey McKean in the final round. And now he has Mark de Mori in front of him.
246 pounds for Filip El Animal Hrgovic.
I mean, they're both pretty much where we would expect them to be. De Mori a little bit lighter than his last fight, half a stone lighter. He's 17 stone 4. Hrgovic is a touch heavier, but just the 3 pounds. So he comes in at 246, which is 17 stone.
Once again,
8.
ladies and gentlemen, these
With
two
Hrgovic, I think sometimes when I've seen him, he hasn't really looked
international
in brilliant shape.
heavyweight
He's looked like he might be
contest.
carrying a bit spare, but although the weights have never really changed that much, Rich, the body composition here, if you like, the conditioning looks good.
Yeah, he does look good at Hrgovic, you know. Technically, he's a very, very good fighter. Was really unlucky in the Olympic semi-final in 2016. I actually thought he beat Tony Yoka, who went on to win gold. But, you know, it's neither here or there now. But, yes, he's a decent kid, good schooling. And obviously, the IBF mandatory, that's something special for him.
What was quite amusing there was Mori stood on a stool so he could tower over Filip Hrgovic.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Just wonder, is Mori, is he trying to gain that mental edge at the last minute?
You never know, dear. And like I say, Mark Mori's got nothing really to lose because everyone expects him to lose, don't they? So he'll probably just go for the heavyweights, and you never know.
Balls and power.
Are you afraid of this guy? He's been the boogeyman in the heavyweight division for a while. A lot of people wouldn't even go in the ring with him.
A lot of respect. He's very good. I followed his career. I saw him as an amateur. Don't get me wrong, I know he's brilliant, but I'm here to try and win.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Mark Mori. Now let's speak to the big Croatian. He wants to bring that pillow into the ring tomorrow so he can be the same height as you. Are you okay with that?
No problem, man. I'm ready for everything.
Yesterday you said you were planning on boxing him for a few rounds, but now have decided to go for the knockout right away. Is that still the game plan? And if you don't get the knockout, do you consider that a setback?
Today he was a little bit more polite, so I will think about. Maybe I give him a second chance, but I'm still mad. I want to punish him.
Do you think he lasts the distance with you?
No chance.
No chance. Look forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
El Animal, Filip Hrgovic, everyone.
I'll tell you what, I'm loving this version of Filip Hrgovic. Very short, very concise, very menacing.
Terminator vibes. Terminator vibes from Hrgovic.
Let's now welcome our next two fighters competing tomorrow in a scheduled 12-round cruiserweight contest. It is brought to you in association with Matchroom Boxing and Tasman Fighters. Let's welcome first, coming to us from Bromley, Kent, England. He brings an undefeated record with 17 wins, 7 of his 17 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the current WBO European champion, Ellis Zorro.
Well, here comes Ellis Zorro, unbeaten in 17 fights, indeed unbeaten as an amateur as well, but a huge leap up in levels.
Yeah, massive leap up for him, but I've been speaking to him yesterday, and I said to him, listen, just go out there and enjoy it, and he says, yeah, you know what, Rich, I intend to do that. I'm going to give it everything, but I'm going to really enjoy it.
He was a 2012 Olympian, now undefeated as a professional with 23 wins, 18 of his 23 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the current Ring Magazine champion and the undefeated former IBF Cruiserweight champion of the world. Let's welcome Jai Opetaia.
Well, here comes Jai Opetaia, who has been in the zone all week.
Absolutely, he has. If anybody has been counting the minutes to fight now, it is him.
Yeah, he's a class act, isn't he? You know, and he's recognised, I think, as the number one in the division worldwide.
Zorro. 197.4 for Ellis Zorro.
Makes the championship weight there within the cruiserweight limit. Ring Magazine title, of course, there held by Mick Francis, will be on the line.
Now to the scale, Jai Opetaia.
Jai Opetaia has that
198.4 for Jai Opetaia.
They've both done it pretty easily there. 14-1 for Zorro, 14-2 for Opetaia. You don't have to play this game where you have to try and come into the ounce. Some fighters like to do that, some trainers like to do that, but they both look good.
In a scheduled 12-round cruiserweight contest.
Listen, at the end of the day, Jai Opetaia knows he's in against an undefeated boxer who's relishing the opportunity and the challenge, so he's got to be professional, he's got a job to do. And, you know, look at Ellis Zorro there, he looks in the zone, he looks focused, and this is a good fight, you know what I mean? It's a tough one, obviously, for Ellis Zorro, but he's boxing the best in the world, and that's all he can do.
Well, Jai Opetaia has made it very clear he thinks that Ellis Zorro is in the position that Jai Opetaia was in a couple of fights ago. He's that hungry challenger, he wants to become the champion.
Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it. It's a great way to ward off any kind of potential complacency. It's the perfect way to look at it.
The contest itself, though, Dev, Zorro's got to make it awkward.
Underdogs on the card. Why don't you think you're getting more respect from the public heading into this fight?
I don't know, man. I'm not really focused on that. I'm just focused on myself, you know. I'm not focused on what other people have been saying. People have been saying a lot throughout my whole career, my whole journey, and the way I've had success is just by focusing on myself.
How do you beat this guy?
We'll see when I get in there, man. There's no blueprint. He's an undefeated fighter. I'll have to figure it out when I get in there.
Look forward to seeing it.
Thank you, no problem.
Right. Ellis Zorro. Jai Opetaia.
I'll figure out when they get in there, and that's what good fighters do. They figure things out. That's a great answer.
That have not seen you before, that will see you for the first time tomorrow night. What are they going to see?
Man, I'm just ready to get in the ring, you know. One more day, and I waited a long time. Let's go.
You're known for your brutal knockouts. Is that what you have in store for Ellis Zorro tomorrow night?
Just get in there and box smart. You know, the knockout comes, it comes. You know, we played the game.
He's soft-spoken, Eddie. I know you're not. What do you think he's going to do tomorrow night?
You'll see a future pound-for-pound star. You know, a guy that I think is going to be a multi-weight world champion. He is the best cruiserweight in the world. He's the Ring Magazine champion. You're going to see a special talent. You're going to see a great performance, and you're going to see the future of the cruiserweight, and I believe one day the heavyweight division as well.
High praise from Eddie Hearn. Jai Opetaia, good luck to you, sir.
There was a fighter just ready to have a fight. That's Jai Opetaia.
Yes, he is. And if I was Ellis Zorro, I'd probably be a little bit disappointed there because he's actually respecting Ellis Zorro. So he means business.
Let's now welcome our next two fighters competing tomorrow in a scheduled 10-round contest. It will be for the WBA Intercontinental and NABF Heavyweight Championships. Brought to you in association with Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, Eye of the Tiger Promotions, SES, and Blanco Sports. Let's first welcome the challenger, coming to us from Bochum, Germany, undefeated with 22 wins, 15 of his 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is Ajit Kabayel.
Well, here is the unbeaten two-time European heavyweight champion, Ajit Kabayel, who is due a breakout fight after that win over Derek Chisora.
Absolutely, and you said it right there, undefeated two-time European champion.
And we
Those are
now
proper
welcome
credentials.
the defending champion, a native of Russia, now making his home in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. He is undefeated with 18 wins. 17 of his 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBA Intercontinental and NABF Heavyweight Champion, Arslanbek, the Lion Makhmudov.
Well, here is the unbeaten Arslanbek Makhmudov, carries himself with such a menace. He truly is one of the most terrifying boxers I've ever seen, Richie.
Yes, he's a scary guy, he really
scale
is.
first.
Knocks opponents out left, right and centre, always in good condition, so this one's going to be a good fight.
241.3 for Ajit Kabayel.
241.3 for
Now
Ajit
we
Kabayel.
welcome Arslanbek Makhmudov. 262 pounds for Arslanbek, the Lion Makhmudov.
Very consistent from those two. Kabayel basically the same as he was last fight, exactly the same for Arslanbek Makhmudov. Makhmudov 18 stone 10, Kabayel 17 stone 4. So
once again, ladies and gentlemen, these two
bringing that weight
competing
difference
tomorrow
with him.
night in a scheduled 10-round contest for the WBA Intercontinental and NABF Heavyweight Championship.
I bet you wouldn't like to get in there with him, would you?
Absolutely not. Legs are shaky, to be honest with you, Richie.
Look at the size difference now. So, you know, you can see with Ajit Kabayel what he's got to do. He's got to hit, he's got to move. Can't afford to try and take this man on, who's very strong coming forward. Lots of power, lots of aggression. So it's hit and move, I think, for Kabayel.
And what is interesting for me, every time he faces off with an opponent, he holds his fist up. It's quite something. I've never seen that before.
Yes, indeed. He looks to try and intimidate. And so he should, with the physical size he's got.
But at the same time as well, he's a better technical boxer than people give him credit for, Makhmudov.
Looking dude. What scares you the most, or what intimidates you the most? What do you have to watch out for tomorrow in this fight?
Yes, I will not touch too much talk. We see him tomorrow, and I'm ready. I feel good, and yes, I give him good challenge.
All right. Good luck to you. Ajit Kabayel. Arslan Bek, this is probably the biggest fight of your career. What can the fans expect to see from you tomorrow night?
Like usually, guys, I come here for, I do my job, my best. I go for anyone. If against me, I will go for one way, destroy. That's my job. Thank you.
You're going for the destruction. How much of a challenge do you expect from Ajit?
Very good guy, very good boxer, top guy. I need kind of this opponent, but like I said, I do my job.
Good luck to you. No way this one goes the distance.
Yeah, Arslan Bek Makhmudov, those answers are very reminiscent of Artur Beterbiev. Just wants to do his job.
Welcome our next two fighters competing tomorrow in a scheduled 12-round contest. It will be for the WBA Super and IBO Light Heavyweight Championships of the World. Brought to you in association with World of Boxing Promotions, Matchroom Boxing, and Wasserman Boxing. Let's first welcome, coming to us from Manchester, England, he brings a professional record of 23 wins, just one defeat, 16 of his 23 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending IBO Light Heavyweight Champion of the World, Lyndon King Arthur.
Comes Lyndon King Arthur. He's the IBO champion. Big opportunity against Dimitri Bivol.
Yeah, he's probably got the toughest job on Saturday night here. Lyndon Arthur. We know he can make things very awkward. That first fight against Anthony Hart kept it long behind that jab.
A native of Kyrgyzstan, now fighting out of Indio, California, USA. He is undefeated with 21 wins. 11 of his 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the reigning and defending WBA Super Light Heavyweight Champion of the World, Dimitri Bivol!
Well, here comes Dimitri Bivol, truly a pound-for-pound star right now. Unbeaten champion, and he's quite the fighter.
He absolutely is. He absolutely is. Interestingly, when you see him outside,
welcome to the scale
he's quite a long above
Arthur.
the light heavyweight limits. I feel like he needs a decent lead in. He's looked good this week, though.
174.2 for Lyndon King Arthur.
Lyndon Arthur makes the weight.
Now we welcome Dimitri Bivol. 174.6 for Dimitri Bivol.
Both fighters make championship weight. We have a fight.
Yeah, bang on the way, both of them. And Dimitri Bivol, he does respect Lyndon Arthur. So like I say, Lyndon has got to make it awkward. The jab's going to be very important. Try and make Bivol come over that front foot. And let's just hope that Lyndon Arthur can pull it off. But he has got the toughest task, no doubt, on Saturday night.
Light Heavyweight Championships of the World.
Well, there is that WBA belt, belongs to Dimitri Bivol. He's held that belt for a long time, Andy Clark. And what are you seeing here? It's quite a look in his eyes.
He's been out of the ring for longer than he would have liked to, about a year, so I'm sure he's raring to get back in there. Lyndon Arthur has got to remember those fundamentals. If it's tough early on, you've just got to not hit the panic button, keep your boxing together and just stick to what you do well.
Got to literally try and restrict any mistakes that you make there, because Bivol technically is brilliant, and if you make a mistake he punishes you, and then that gets inside your head and things can start unravel. So Lyndon's got to, for me, got to stay on that back foot a little bit, try and make Bivol come forward over that front foot, and you just never know. Let's hope he can do it.
Here with Lyndon Arthur, bright lights, big city. What's this week been like for you as you get set to face one of the best pound-for-pound stars in the game?
Yeah, it's been exciting. Took it all in, like I said the other day, and I'm ready to go. I'm excited. It's not less than 24 hours away. I'm excited.
Your best punch is the jab. You're known for doing that, but so too is he. What do you expect this fight to look like when the bell rings?
We'll find out tomorrow. I'm not adapt. Might be the battle of the jabs, it might not be, but let's go.
And what's your message to your fans watching right now?
Tune in, stay tuned, and keep watching.
Good luck to you. Lyndon Arthur. And here he is, Dimitri Bivol. We haven't seen you in the ring in a long time. Do you expect any ring rust or things to feel a little different because of your inactivity?
You know, I spent this time with this time helped me. I feel myself fresh, mentally, physically, and now I'm just wanna fight. I feel smell of the fight now, and I answer on a lot of questions. And now I just need to go and be ready to the fight. And I hope we will show great fight for the boxing fans.
All of your opponents have to figure out how to get around your jab. You've got to deal with his jab, which is really good. How do you do to do that?
We will see on Saturday night. We will see.
All right. Eddie, what do you say about Bivol? He's back. A lot of people didn't think we'd see him this year. He's got Lyndon Arthur, a tough guy from your home country.
Yeah, we just saw Opetaia, future pound-for-pound star, already a pound-for-pound star. Last 2 fights, clear victory over Canelo Alvarez, at the time the pound-for-pound #1. Dominant victory over Gilberto Ramirez. Saturday night, you'll see another dominant performance from Bivol, and then the undisputed fight. Now, this guy deserves a shot at all the belts. That's what he wants. We believe he's the best light heavyweight in the world. We believe Callum Smith's going to take care of Beterbiev, and those two will meet for undisputed, but Saturday night, take care of business. Lyndon Arthur's a great fighter. This man is levels above. He's a pound-for-pound great. You'll see him in action on Saturday.
Let's see if he can show it. Give it one more time, ladies and gentlemen. The light heavyweight champion of the world, Dimitri Bivol.
Well, neither fighter getting drawn on how they're going to win the fight. They're just saying, we'll find out.
What's important for Lyndon Arthur is to set the pace.
Two fighters
He's been inactive, remember.
tomorrow night in a scheduled 10-round international heavyweight contest. It is brought to you in association with Salida Promotions and Miller Time Promotions. First, we welcome, coming to us from Brooklyn, New York, USA. He brings an undefeated record with 26 wins, 1 draw, 22 of his 26 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Jarrell Big Baby Miller.
Well, here is the man they call Big Baby. He certainly made even more of a name for himself in the fight week in the build-up to this.
And
very curious about what he looks like on the scales.
Coming to us from Greenwich, London, England, he brings a professional record of 19 wins, 2 defeats, with 18 of his 19 wins coming by way of knockout. He is the former WBA regular heavyweight champion of the world, Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois.
Well, Daniel Dubois really caught the attention of the world yesterday at the press conference where he made a big threat to Jarrell Miller. Let's see what they both look like
We will
on the
welcome
scales.
to the scale first, Jarrell Miller. £333 for Jarrell Miller.
Well, that is exactly what he weighed against
Now to the
Lucas
scale,
Brown.
Daniel Dubois. £239 for Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois.
As you say, Miller the same, 333, which is 23 stone 11. Getting these tables out to convert it, you don't normally have to go that high, to be honest. Daniel Dubois, 239, so he's 6 pounds heavier than he was last time. Just over 17 stone 1. So he's packed on a little bit.
There's nearly £100 between them. This is quite something.
You see now, he's goading him now, you see, Baby Miller, trying to get into his head, because that can knock, there you go. So this can affect the way boxers actually start the contest. You probably want Daniel to come over to him when that bell goes and hold his feet and trade with him. Daniel's got to keep it focused. This is part of the game. Miller's got into his head a little bit there, bit of pushing. Just stay focused, stay disciplined.
You could just see Daniel being held back there as well.
Daddy, my nuts. The size of my nuts, your brain's the size of my nuts, you shrimp.
Well, you're 333 pounds, you're big everywhere, let's be honest about it.
Goddamn right, down me.
How do you intend to use that weight advantage to your advantage?
Man, listen, walk him down, beat him up. You know, you got a brain the size of a shrimp, what we gonna do? We gonna turn the shrimp to fry, we gonna glaze him, we gonna grill him, we gonna broil him. Either way, the shrimp gonna get cooked. Tune in.
All right, Big Baby, Jarrell Miller.
You heard it there, Dev, walk him down and beat him up. That's why Daniel's so important, to keep that jab long and keep him at bay.
Let's see what Daniel Dubois says about
Daniel
this.
Dubois, obviously he's doing his best to get into your head, to intimidate you. Has it worked at all?
None of it. I'm ready for fight. You know, I'll see him in the ring. I'm ready for him.
So he weighs 333 pounds. Do you think he can go the distance with you? Is that your plan, just to gas him out?
I'm not worried about none of that. You know, this is Africa and we slaughter lambs out here.
All right, let's bring in your promoter, Frank Warren. What do you think about this matchup? It might steal the show.
Look, to me, it's a really, really intriguing fight. 50-50 fight on paper. I think he wins it, our man. But one thing's for sure, you will not be able to take your eyes off it. He's been hunting him down, looking to throw those bombs. Both of them have got to prove a point. Both of them. And for the winner, where the winner goes up. The loser, where does he go? Everything's on the line.
Can't wait to see it. Ade, back to you.
Well, I'll tell you, that is a fired-up Daniel Dubois. But is that a good thing or a bad thing, Richie?
It's a good thing if you can just control those emotions and control that aggression. When that bell goes, then he starts with that jab and that straight right hand. We're certainly going to test. He's certainly going to test Miller's chin. We'll see how tough Baby Miller is. We really will, because Daniel will certainly hit him with that jab and that right hand, and he's strong and he's powerful. Let's see what happens. I like it.
Well, it's quite something. The weight disparity, I mean, that is nearly 100 pounds. That's what I suspected it would be. The size of Jarrell Miller, it's quite something.
It is. It's not what you normally see. It was 99 pounds that separated David Hay and Nikolai Valuev, for example, but this is a much different kind of contest. Valuev's 7 feet tall. Miller's just got that kind of bulk and that real density to him, so he's going to take some stopping, but Dubois a powerful fighter. If he can hit him clean, hit him often, and just get off the line, not hold his feet too long, then he can do the job here. Personally, I think if the other fighter shoves you, I think that's a win. I think if you make them feel like they need to do that, then that's a win.
Yeah, because it's all about styles, remember. The only way that's going to be an advantage, that weight, is if Daniel Dubois holds his feet, trades with him, lets Baby Miller lean on him, roughing him up a little bit. That's why he's got to maintain a gap and keep the distance. Then the weight isn't an advantage, it's a disadvantage. You hit him, you move off to the side, you come at a different angle, and then you maintain the gap. You stay central in the ring, not on the ropes or the corners, because that's where Baby Miller will want to fight Daniel Dubois, in the ropes and in the corners. You stay in ring space, and I think Daniel can do it. He could do it, draw off the experience of the Usyk and the Joyce fights, and he can do this.
Let's head over to Michael Buffer.
Bard City, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Brought to you by Hall of Fame promoter Mr. Frank Warren on behalf of Queensberry Promotions for Riyadh season and National Event Center in association with the General Entertainment Authority, Gold Star Promotions, and Sela. Now let's continue with the weigh-in for the final 2 bouts of the evening for tomorrow night. This next contest is presented in association with Bomb Squad. It's scheduled for 12 rounds for the vacant WBC International and WBO Intercontinental Unified Heavyweight Championships. It's former world champion versus former world champion. So now let's bring the fighters to the stage and then to the scales. Coming out first, bringing a professional record consisting of 36 fights, 33 victories, including 23 wins by knockout with 3 defeats. He comes to us from South Auckland, New Zealand. He's ranked number 3 in the world by the WBO. He is the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Lupe Soliai Laole Ole Maleatoa, a.k.a. Big Joseph Parker.
Former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, very, very confident that he will come away with the win on Saturday night.
He looks in really good nick. I don't think they've really stopped training since the last fight, to be honest, at the end of October, maybe a week off and then straight back in, because I think they always suspected they'd be on this card.
He's a tough guy as well. Decent boxer, former world champion. Yes, he's got a great chance.
Bringing a professional record consisting of 46 fights, 43 victories, including 42 KOs, only 2 defeats with 1 draw. He is ranked number 1 in the world by the WBA and WBC. From Tuscaloosa, Alabama, USA, the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder.
Well, here comes the former long-reigning, hard-hitting WBC World Heavyweight Champion, Deontay Wilder. He's been quite zen this week. He's been fairly mellow, Andy.
He has been. He's got his hands wrapped, which is unusual, hasn't he? Look at him there. He's got his hands wrapped. I'm sure he has.
Champion versus former champion on the scales, Joseph Parker. 245.3 pounds for the former world champion, Big Joseph Parker.
Well, that's lighter than he was last time against Simon King.
No great surprise there, I think.
Champion from the United States, the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder.
Very interested to see what the scales say about Deontay Wilder. There is like a kind of danger weight you talked about, Andy.
There absolutely is. Slim, sinewy, spidery. Around about 15, 15 and a half.
Deontay Wilder. Official weight. 213 pounds for Deontay Wilder.
So he's 15 stone 3, which is where you like to see him, to be honest. He's been as low as 209 pounds before, but that's where we expected him to be. Pretty much the same with Parker. He's 5 pounds lighter than he was last time we saw him against Simon King. But like I said, I don't think he's really been out of the gym. You can see it in his face this week. He was a little bit slimmer. And 245 is basically where he's been throughout his career.
And that suggests, you see, Joseph Parker in what type of contest he will probably fight. He's got to move against Wilder. He knows that. Wilder's really explosive anyway, but at 15, he was 15-4 in his last contest, 15-3 here. We know what he's all about. He's devastating power, so Parker's got to move, and that's why, in my opinion, he's a little bit lighter.
Well, I'm interested to see the final face-off between Wilder and Parker here. Of course, there is that weight difference, but Deontay Wilder, as a heavyweight, he tends to have to fight bigger, heavier guys.
Yes, I mean, he's got exceptional power. 31 of he's got 31 stoppages in the first 3 rounds in his career. So he's very dangerous early on. That's why Parker has got to watch it early in this contest.
I'm guessing he must have been training. He must have been training this afternoon when you look at his hands.
Champion versus former world champion.
Maybe he's got the date wrong. He thinks it's tonight. Yeah, he's probably done a pad session. If the hands are wrapped all like that, especially with the tape as well on the knuckles, he's probably obviously just done a pad session.
Well, it's stern and steely from Joseph Parker and from Deontay Wilder here.
It's a great fight, it really is, because Parker, like I say, really decent, former world champion himself.
What's the battle of the former world champions? 2 men who want to become world champion again, very much so.
Reckoning the big boys are in the house. It all goes down tomorrow night at the Kingdom Arena.
What I like about Wilder, Dev, as well, he's not only dangerous early, he's dangerous late on. One of those rare heavyweights that can produce real knockout power shots at the end of a contest. That makes him so dangerous.
Here with Big Joseph Parker in your last fight with Simon King. You looked fantastic. You stopped him. You were quite aggressive. Can you afford to be that aggressive against Deontay Wilder?
Listen, we're here, we're ready, and I can't wait. And I'm going to be aggressive, and I want to go in there and execute this plan, follow the strategies, and get the win.
You're very good friends with Tyson Fury. You train with him all the time. He had the trilogy with Deontay. What advice did he give you as you prepare to step in with the Bronze Bomber?
Don't get hit with the right hand, and don't get knocked out.
Easy enough. Andy, you'll be in his corner. What have you told him to focus on besides don't get knocked out?
Fight fire with fire.
Really?
Let your hands go.
So you're not going to be surprised if Joseph Parker gets a KO?
We expect it.
They expect it, everybody. Can Joseph Parker knock out Deontay Wilder? We'll find out tomorrow night. He's already got his hands wrapped, but that's because you're trying on gloves, right? You're not ready to go ahead and fight now, are you?
I mean, the fight ain't today.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, shit.
Deontay, I think you've looked more relaxed, more jovial. It seems like this is your second home. It's not quite like Tuscaloosa. Am I seeing things, or are you really this calm and collected?
I mean, I'm just this calm and collective, you know what I mean? I've been here many times before.
I done fought his style before. He's never fought a style like mine. He never have felt a power that I bring and possess, you know. So, and I do feel like this is a second home for me. I feel like it's home. The way the people have treated me, the way just the energy and the vibe and the aura, it feels like my second country. So I'm going to perform as if it is.
You just heard him and his trainer say they're going to fight fire with fire. If they do indeed do that, what's going to happen?
Bam, baby, good night.
You trainer Malik, what do you think for Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, when you heard about this matchup? What did you work on in the gym to prepare him for this fight?
Well, Joseph, he has the perfect style for Deontay to look spectacular against tomorrow, and that's what he's going to do. Deontay weighed 213, 214. This is a weight where he give out his most decapitation work, and tomorrow is not going to be no difference.
All right, Deontay, your final words to the fans watching around the world right now.
To all the fans, I love you so much. Thank you for the love and support that you guys have been giving me over the years. And I'm not going to disappoint you. You know, I come to bring the pain. I come to bring the excitement. And like I always say, don't blink, baby. Because bam, baby, good night. My new nickname is Dr. Sleep, and I'm adopting that name. So I got NyQuil in the right hand. I told him to bring a pillow and bring a blanket because it get chilly over here as well. So you know, I can't wait. Bomb Squad!
Deontay Wilder, everybody!
I knew he would. I knew he would. Got that hurt in my ears, Richie.
I've seen you jump then.
Well, look, what was quite interesting there was Joe Parker. Well, Joe Parker said, I'm ready to follow the tactics of Andy Lee. Andy Lee said, the tactics are fight fire with fire.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I think that's the way. You can't just expect to hang in there for 12 rounds and hope to win on points.
A day of reckoning, 12 rounds of boxing in the heavyweight division, presented by Queensberry Promotions and Matchroom Boxing in association with AJ Boxing and Solita Promotions. Let's bring the fighters to the scales. Coming out first with a record of 27 fights, 26 victories, including 14 wins by knockout, only one defeat. Originally from Sweden, now living, training, and fighting out of the Big Apple, New York City, New York, USA. He's the former EBU European heavyweight champion, ranked number 2 in the world by the IBF. He is Otto Wallin.
Well, here comes Otto Wallin, the highly ranked, highly rated Swedish southpaw. People have been talking about him causing an upset. He's saying it won't be an upset.
Listen, Otto Wallin, he's a decent fighter, he really is. An awkward southpaw, well schooled, does all the basics very well, works well behind his jab, and a good fight against Tyson Fury, obviously. So it's one I'm looking forward to, this one.
Record standing at 29 fights, 26 victories, including 23 big wins by knockout against 3 defeats. From Watford, London, England, the former WBO, IBF, IBO, WBA heavyweight champion of the world, AJ Anthony Joshua.
Here comes the former 2-time unified world heavyweight champion, Anthony Joshua, truly one of boxing's megastars.
Indeed. He's looked mean all week, I think, AJ, and he just wants to get this weigh-in done now and get the fight on, but he looks in good condition. He looks very focused indeed.
Stepping on the scales first, ranked number 2 in the world by the IBF, Otto Wallin. 238.6 pounds.
It's around about what he was in his last fight against Gassiev.
Next on the scales, the former unified heavyweight world champion from London, AJ Anthony Joshua. £251 on the nose for the former unified world heavyweight champion. Tomorrow night.
So they're both almost exactly what they were last time. They're both a pound out. Wells in at bang on 17 stone. Anthony Joshua 251, so 1 pound heavier than he was last time, 17 stone. 13, so almost a stone in weight advantage there for Joshua, which is what we expected. He's got that new trainer in Ben Davison, of course, who's stayed very much in the background this week, which has been kind of interesting. But yeah, they're both ready to go, aren't they? You can see it.
This fight for me, Deb, is all about Anthony Joshua being patient. Against the southpaw who will sit back maybe and make things awkward, you've got to be patient, get your feet into range, pull with the jab and then set up your right hand. If you can get Otto Wallin to come forward, he walks onto the right hand, but he's got to be patient here, in my opinion, AJ.
In Boulevard City, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Sonny Edwards said something interesting to us a couple of days ago, Rich, which is that he feels like Anthony Joshua boxes better against somebody who's the same height as him, on the same eye line as him. Is that anything you've noticed down the years?
Maybe so, but in this situation, I think this is only the fourth southpaw he's actually boxed. So that makes things awkward. With him on a eye line and height, it's the fact he's a southpaw. Fairly tall southpaw. Look, just talking to him now. AJ's not having any of it. AJ knows he's in a serious fight here, but like I say, I just believe it's patience. What Otto Wallin will want him to do is come over the front foot, make him fall short with his jab and come back with the counters. That's why he's got to get his feet into range, measure the distance gap with that lead hand to set up that right hand. And if you can get Otto Wallin to come forward, the job becomes a little bit easier to connect with the right hand.
Otto Wallin was smirking at him there a little bit as well. Anthony Joshua looked completely unfazed.
What's this week been like for you?
Well, it's been a lot of work, but it's all part of it. We got to promote the show, promote the fight, and I'm just happy it's finally here.
I know you're predicting that you're going to beat AJ, but how do you do it? How do you beat Anthony Joshua?
I think by just being myself. I'm a smart fighter. I'm a southpaw. I trained for this moment for a very, very, very long time, so I'm very much ready for it.
Your biggest claim to fame, or people know you best perhaps, from your fight against Tyson Fury. What's the bigger challenge for you? That fight against Fury or this fight against AJ?
We'll see tomorrow, but I just know tomorrow is going to be a new king, and he's from Sweden.
All right, good luck to you. All in, Otto Wallin, everybody. And now here, obviously, with Anthony Joshua, what's going on in that brain of yours? You look just like I can't read you at all. Normally, you're so jovial and happy.
I'm happy. I'm jovial. Look at everyone here today. Thanks, everyone, for coming out. Viewers at home as well, we appreciate you. Everyone that's tuning in from all over the world, we appreciate you. As I say, this is the best fight card in history, and I'm here with you guys, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world right now.
You've known him for a long, long time. How confident are you that you're going to get the win, or do you expect it to be very difficult?
Well, if my prayers are answered, I'll get the win. I've been focused, praying hard, and whatever God wants for me, I'm going to follow that path, innit? Who knows, but I'm making sure it's not just prayer, I'm following up by action as well.
Eddie, he took this fight on short notice, a very tough opponent. Did you try and dissuade him from taking this fight?
No, he knows, you know, the training team knows. You got to go through people like Otto Wallin. He's come, he's talked a great game. We'll see if it's real or false confidence. Doesn't matter, he's ready. You're going to see what I believe is the best heavyweight in the world tomorrow night. You're going to see a dominant and brutal performance. He's going to take this guy out. Remember these words.
All right, and Anthony, obviously all in the media right now, everyone's talking about a future fight. You versus Deontay. We saw Tyson Fury had a fight signed with Usyk, and he almost got beat by an MMA guy. How are you focused on this fight and not worried about that fight?
Let me not make that same mistake. Listen, I'm a serious fighter. I'm a serious businessman as well. I've got a great team behind me. They're handling business, but as I always say, let me focus on what I got to focus on. Without Saturday night, there is no future. The Saturday night, as I've been saying all week, that's been my main focus. So whatever happens in the ring, I know that's where my heart is, innit? I need to get this win. I hope everyone's supporting me. If you pray, put me in your prayers, and let's go out there and handle business. And as I said, I appreciate everyone for coming out. Lots of love, yeah?
There you go. The smile's back, everybody. Give it up for Anthony Joshua. Ade, back to you. I know you're smiling too.
Well, the smile is indeed back for Anthony Joshua. What do we make of that there? He seems pretty relaxed. He also said he's very much a man about his business, and it's all business tomorrow night, Richie.
Yes, it is. I think he looks confident. He looks experienced, doesn't he? He's seen this many, many times before. But how this contest has come about, you have to ask that question. So Otto Wallin has either been offered to AJ from his own camp, saying, what do you think about Otto Wallin? And AJ's thought about it and said, yes, I want to box him. Why? Because he beat him twice as an amateur, and from the spars that I've seen, him and AJ, he didn't really trouble AJ that much, and that sticks in a fighter's mind. So at some point, AJ will have had to agree to that contest, and he said, yeah, I'll beat Wallin. He's a good, credible opponent, but I'll definitely beat him. And that's why I think he's very, deep down, he's confident.
Well, Andy Clark, Otto Wallin said that there's going to be a new king, and he is from Sweden.
He's just saying true to form on how he's been all week. He's been confident all week. He's been telling us all week that this is not going to be a shock, that he's not looking to try and upset anybody with what he's been saying. He's just been speaking what he feels is the truth based on what he's seen from Joshua. He's been trying to attack his mentality. He's been trying to suggest that there is a deficiency there in his mindset, and plenty of people have been trying to do that. I haven't really seen that this week, but we'll only really know when he gets into the ring on Saturday. It was interesting to listen to there, Anthony, because a lot of elite level athletes, if they give you an honest answer about boxing or competing at this level, they do have an element of almost fatalism about it. You prepare as best you can, and then you get in there. That you can't control. You do your best, and whatever happens, happens, but he'll be absolutely resolute that it's going to go his way.
You see, Otto Wallin, he's got to go about this he can go about it by two ways. Ding ding, he goes straight over there and he really puts it on Anthony Joshua and really tests him. But by doing that, he risks getting caught himself. The other way is he frustrates AJ, sits on the back foot, increases that distance, pops the jab, then he moves, then he makes him fall short and gets into AJ's head that way, makes him come forward even more, and that makes the job a little bit more easier for Otto Wallin. So he can do one of two ways. I think he might sit back, but don't be surprised if the bell goes ding and he shoots straight over there and he says, come on, let's have a tear up, and he'll fancy himself there. You see what I mean? He won't want to be outboxed, so let's see how he goes about it. But it's a tricky fight, but like I say, I'm confident in Anthony Joshua winning this fight, and I think he'll knock him out at some stage. But how he does it, he's got to be patient, and he's got to work for that opening with that jab, closing that gap, measuring that distance before he lands that big shot. I still think he's probably the most powerful heavyweight in the world, above Deontay Wilder. I think he's got that type of power, AJ. He's a very powerful man, but he's got to get the punch on the opponent, and that's the problem.
Do you think people are making too much of Otto Wallin's southpaw stance, reading into how Anthony Joshua, of course, lost to Alexander Usyk? Alexander Usyk is a different kind of southpaw to Otto Wallin, right?
Totally different. A chalk and cheese southpaw. The movement of Usyk at different angles, he counter punches on the front foot, Usyk. Watch how he boxes. He'll go forward, he wants you to lead. As you lead, he slips and then he comes back with a good shot. So he's really good doing that, you see what I mean? And but Otto Wallin's different. Otto Wallin sits on his back foot a little bit more, makes the opponent lead and fall short, yes, but he's not really an attacking southpaw. He has shown signs that he can go forward, but he's better on his back foot, so he's different and not so much movement. It is a problem for AJ because it's a southpaw opponent, yes, and that's why I think he'll have to work for the opening and to get the big punch on him, myself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's quite a basic thing to do. Just pick up on the fact that he's a southpaw and suggest that he'll have a problem because Alexander Usyk's a southpaw. As you've been saying all week, he knocked out a southpaw to win his IBF title, and Usyk is not just a special fighter, but an unusual kind of a fighter. So I've never really set any store by that. But what it comes down to with Anthony, for me, and this is the question we've been wanting the answer to since Ruiz, I guess, is he willing really to commit to that punch like he used to? He's not this kind of gung-ho wrecking machine people have made him out to be in earlier in his career. He never jumped all over people and tried to beat them up, but what he did do was he would work an opening, and when he saw it, he would step in, he would set his feet, he would commit, and he would finish you off.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see him do that again.
Also, we have to consider AJ might look at the way Tyson Fury beat Otto Wallin, because Tyson was big, and Tyson actually in the end really put it on Wallin, went to him and overpowered him and caught him with some really good shots. Had some bad cuts, remember, but he turned it around, showed real bottle Tyson Fury in that fight and put it on Wallin and well beat him. So you never know, AJ might think in the contest at some stage might change his mindset and say, right, I'm going to go for you now. So it could be a case of starting off patient, forcing the openings, but in the end he might really go for Wallin and put it on him like Tyson did.
Well, in terms of Otto Wallin, we talk about how Anthony Joshua, you've called him perhaps the most powerful heavyweight in the world.
I think he is.
Above Deontay Wilder. Now, in his last fight, Otto Wallin, he had to spend the whole fight keeping away from another very, very heavy-handed heavyweight in Murat Gassiev. So he is able to do that. He's able to keep away. Very durable guy.
Good, well-disciplined display against Gassiev, because Gassiev was coming forward all the time. And Otto Wallin, he doesn't panic mentally. You watch him box, stays on that back foot, and he doesn't panic. Stays nice and tight when the opponent's in close, working his body, hands are tight, the elbows are tucked in and the hands are nice and high. And then he'll pick a shot here and there. Clever kid. Doesn't mind people coming at him. But again, back to Tyson Fury. Tyson was just too strong for him. Let's hope Anthony Joshua will be too strong for him. I think Anthony Joshua will find the knockout shot at some point.
Temperament is really, really important on this kind of stage, and what we know about Wallin is that he's got that, because he had that against Tyson Fury. He wasn't overawed, and as we say, he did very well in that fight. So he is going to show up tomorrow night. That much we do know, because sometimes when a fighter, if they are really stepping up, they may have looked good previously, even coming off the back of a win like he did against Garcia. But if you haven't really been at this level, then you don't know how they're going to perform on the night. But as I say, Wallin is not going to freeze, is he? A sports psychologist put it to me not that long ago, the 3 Fs: freeze, fight, flight. You cannot freeze. Flight is not the preferred option either, but all-out fight isn't either. You need a balance of the two, and he's a clever guy, Wallin.
I'll give you another F, and it's a clean one. Frustrate. He'll try and frustrate Josh, in my opinion, and make him fall short and catch him with counters. That's how I think Wallin's going to box. Like I said, on that back foot. It's going to be really interesting. But I think as the contest goes on, it's going to obviously develop. And both boxers are going to have to suss each other out. And this, you know what, it doesn't matter who's in your corner then. If you're a world champion and a good fighter, you work things out yourself, and you adapt to the contest, and you adopt the right tactics. That's what good fighters do. And I think Anthony Joshua is a good fighter.
Do we feel he's had long enough in this new training setup with Ben Davison?
Well, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Ben Davison, new trainer, will introduce new ideas. We might see things that other trainers haven't seen. Let's see. You know, he's in with a tricky guy. It's going to be a hard one, that, because, as you said, the time, he hasn't had a lot of time with him. I'll be very surprised if I say, oh, yeah, I can see this, I can see that. Maybe it'll be gradual. But, you know, it's about making the boxer feel good. Getting the win is the main thing, and then obviously the trainer is credited for that also. So let's just see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how Anthony Joshua boxes tomorrow on Saturday.
No good trainer, when they get a fighter like Anthony Joshua, is going to look to try and reinvent the wheel. You know what he's got, you know what he can do. He's a very, very high-level performer, and you get this with all elite athletes, whether it's individuals or whether it's teams. When they've got that level of ability and that mentality, it's about getting the performance out of them. They know what to do. It's more a case of motivating them, being on their wavelength, making sure that they've got that trust in you and you've got that trust in them. You look at the top football managers, Sir Alex Ferguson, for example. Did he know anything about football tactics that nobody else had ever known? I doubt it. But he managed year in year to get the maximum performance out of his players, and that's a lot of the job of the trainer.
What good trainers do also, Dev? They work with the tools they've got, and they draw the best out of that tools. They work on the strengths. Yes, they have to work on weaknesses as well, but they really go for strengths. And let's face it, Anthony Joshua, what an athlete he is, what a specimen of a man he is. Great long arms, lots of power, naturally a good boxer. So he's got a lot to work with there. It's just implementing your style of sort of coaching on that. Yes, against a tricky opponent, but you work with the tools you have got. Don't try and make him move his head all the time like you would a very short Mike Tyson sort of fighter. You work with those tools, those long levers that he's got, and I'm sure he'll do that.
Well, we talked about fighters potentially freezing earlier. One man who we certainly don't expect to freeze is Deontay Wilder. I mean, we know what he does. I think very, very shortly, actually, we're going to hear from Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren, who are going to join us on the stream here. But in terms of what we saw from Deontay Wilder and Joe Parker up there, what did you think?
Yeah, they look like they've looked all week. They're ready to go. They're ready to go. Parker is absolutely resolute that he is not going to be intimidated by the punch power of Wilder, and nor should he be. Everybody at this level has got the ability to knock everybody else out. If you can catch them with one they're not braced for. That's just the reality. Okay, so the gentlemen are joining us. I'll just try and not trip over this microphone wire. That would be embarrassing.
Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, both with us. Gentlemen, Frank, I'm going to come to you first now. I mean, look, we're nearly here now, just hours away. Incredible setup here. Big night coming up tomorrow.
It's a massive night. It's a absolute boxing festival. Some of the best, you think some of the best heavyweights in the world. I think it's 10 out of the top 15 are on the card. Doesn't get any better than that. And then we've got them 2 really good title fights involving 2 Brits. Let's see. I mean, they're big outsiders, but you never know what happens in boxing. It's a massive opportunity for them. So I think it's going to be a tremendous night of boxing.
Eddie, you've got 3 fighters on the card, and it's very possible that you could walk out of here on Saturday night having witnessed 3 really big performances, because they are a trio of exceptionally talented guys.
Yeah, I'll take 3 wins, whatever way they come. But I do think you're right. I mean, when you look at the breakdown of the fights, there's something about AJ this week. I don't know whether we're just getting excited by the Ben Davison link-up, but we're seeing a different side of him in sparring and in preparation. It's still got to translate in the ring on the night. I'm hoping to see a violent performance from him. As far as Dimitri Bivol goes, he's been out of the ring for a year, but let's be honest, he's already a pound-for-pound top fighter. Great opportunity for Lyndon Arthur, and Jai Opetaia might be on his way to being a pound-for-pound great fighter. He's got one of Frank's boys, Ellis Zorro. What a chance for him. You know, he's stepping up well beyond the levels, but we saw Jordan Thompson try to do that, and you know, that he came unstuck quite quickly. So Ellis has got to be ready, because Opetaia's an animal. And you know, it's just a massive card, as Frank said. You know, I don't think either of us have been involved with anything like this before. And you sometimes even forget about some of the fights on the card. I mean, Makhmudov against Kabayel is a brilliant heavyweight fight. It's a 50-50 fight, you know. And you got obviously Hrgovic, you got Frank Sanchez, and you know, I think if we were doing the show, we'd probably say there was 4 fights too many. But we're delighted to be enjoying it.
Frank, let me bring you in on Daniel Dubois. I mean, he got shoved up there, and then he looked like he wanted to kick off. I think security had to pull them apart a little bit.
He got shoved, I got shoved. Yeah, he's a big lump, isn't he? 330 pounds he weighed. He's just trying to intimidate Daniel. He thinks Daniel's got a weak mentality, and I think he'll be proven wrong. You know, one thing's for sure, all the pushing and shoving don't mean nothing. It's when the bell goes, first bell, and they got to get out there, then we'll in the middle of the ring, and then we'll see who is the best. I really do think that Daniel's going to put in a real explosive performance tomorrow. He's got the bit between his teeth. I've never seen him like this, to be quite honest. He really is up for this fight.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? The fact that he got the shove and then he was kind of like, yeah, come on over there. Is that a good thing or a bad thing from Daniel? What do you think?
I think it's a bad thing, because I got shoved. It's look, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we see all these sorts of things happen at weigh-ins and whatever. What counts is what they do in the ring, and that's it. And I was surprised how heavy he was. I never realised he was such a big lump. He's a heavy guy.
Well, you know about him being a big lump, Eddie. You've promoted some of his fights in the past.
Yeah.
What did you make of Dubois and Miller up there?
I mean, if you watch it back, you do see a quick U-turn from Jarrell Miller.
You do?
You know, a shove and all right, you know, I'm off. So he talks a great game. I've got my own opinions of Jarrell Miller, but one thing I will say is he's a huge lump. He's a good volume puncher. He's got a good engine, and he's got a very good chin. Daniel Dubois, one of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, but you want to see he needs to put a dent in Jarrell Miller early. If this starts going 6-7 rounds, and Miller's got the same engine that he used to have, it's going to be a tough night's work for Daniel. But, you know, like Frank said, it's the first time I've really met him. Lovely young man. And just something about him says, you know, and don't forget, what is he, 25? 25. He's already boxed Joe Joyce, he's boxed Alexander Usyk, like, for his age.
This is like, with a great respect to Jarrell Miller, it's like a backward step after fighting those guys. And it's with him, it's all about what is going to be up here. I think that's the challenge for him, and I think that's the thing that's spurring him on. He wants to prove to everybody that he has got what it takes, that he's got the heart for it, and he deserves to be there. And I believe that's what he will do tomorrow.
Yeah, I will say that Jarrell Miller actually has no victories over world-class heavyweights. Talks a great game and beat up people like Bogdan Dinu, you know, and
Duapis,
and Adamek and stuff like that. But he's never really beaten a world-class heavyweight, which I think Dubois is. But you could say the same about Dubois. You know, he's been in at that level, but yet to actually beat is Jarrell Miller even a world-class heavyweight? We actually don't know.
That's the thing. And I think the other thing is, you look at the body shot he threw against Usyk. You're looking at those rolls of fat on him, because, you know, he is 330 pounds, but there's a lot of fat there. I'd be interested to see how he copes with a shot to the body.
Well, Otto Wallin said that there's going to be a new king, and he's from Sweden. What did you make of that? What did you make of his confidence up there?
He is very confident. He seems in a very good place, and obviously he feels that, look, what's he got to lose? All these guys, they got nothing to lose. They're in there, they got everything to gain. You know, most people will, all the bookmakers all fancy the left-hand side of the card anyway, so they're in there, and they're expected to fight well enough to lose, some of them. I don't think that would be the case. I generally do feel there'll be some upsets. What I'm intrigued about with AJ is, again, as soon as that bell goes, how he settles down in this fight, because he's had his problems in the past, and he needs to regain his stock again, get back to where he should be, and to do that, he's got to go out and put a real good performance in. And as Eddie's saying, at the moment, he feels that he's going to do some damage. Well, that's what he needs to do. But this fella's coming to fight. He's fit as a butcher's dog. He looks like he wants it. So it's going to be an intriguing and an interesting fight.
I'm kind of curious to see how Wallin's going to go about this, because he has been quite bullish during the week. He's not been talking nonsense, but he's been quite forthright. If he comes forward and looks for Anthony, I think that will suit him. But he's tricky. He could look to frustrate him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. You know, the confidence appears to be real. And I know, as Frank said, head-to-heads don't really mean a lot. His heart was beating through his chest in that head-to-head. I mean, I would be if I was looking at the size of Anthony Joshua. But he's an experienced guy, you know. And I think you look at the victory in Turkey against Gassiev on the road. Gassiev, former unified cruiserweight champion, still a very, very good win. Good fight with Tyson Fury. Could have been stopped, that fight, you know. And he's a good heavyweight. I think you're not going to see. I don't think Otto Wallin's ever been an overly aggressive or brave guy in that respect. More of a clever fighter and a tricky southpaw. He's afforded to be aggressive against people like Brazil and against people like Gassiev as well. But I don't think he'll want to be aggressive against Joshua. They've sparred many rounds. He knows how hard Joshua hits as well. What's AJ going to do? You know, you've seen him be a little bit more passive twice this year. I think Ben Davis is going to try and get that aggressive out of him. They fancy an early stoppage in that fight, you know, and I think that's going to be a tough task. Wallin is, you know, durable. He's quite crafty as well. But I think if he could stop him in the first half of the fight, it'd be a hell of a statement.
Hey, other than Usyk, it was Charles Martin before that, and he got stopped. He's a big southpaw, about the same sort of dimensions in the first half of the fight. It could happen.
Yeah, people keep saying AJ struggles with southpaws. No, he struggled with Alexander Usyk. There's a difference. You know, you're talking about arguably pound for pound number one. So Charles Martin was a long time ago, but he was very comfortable. We know he's got a great straight right hand. It's going to suit him against Wallin, but you know, he's a good fighter. And like Frank said, the pressure's always on. Everyone's always looking to analyse the performance, and he's just got to go out there and do his thing.
And especially at the age they are, you know, all these guys. I mean, and the fight as well on the 17th of February. They're older guys now. They're not youngsters. They're older guys, and sometimes overnight you can become an old man. That can happen.
Brief thoughts on Deontay Wilder and Joe Parker. Now, Wilder was around the 213-pound mark. He always fights heavyweights that are so much bigger than him, but he tends to knock them out. What did you make of all of that up there?
Well, he's a lean machine, isn't he? I mean, that's what he is. And what do I make of it? I think it's going to be a competitive fight. They're two former world champions. Joe Parker really does fancy the job. Deontay's had one fight in 2 years, hasn't he? That's all he's had, and that was a one-round blowout against Elanius. Let's see what it is. I mean, prior to Elanius, he had won his 3 previous fights, which were against Tyson. So who knows how that's left him, how that affects him. We'll see. He's in with a better fighter than Helenius is this time round, that's for sure. And as I say, Joe's also coming off a good win. So again, we'll see. They really, really are intriguing fights.
Eddie, you know Joe and Andy really well, and they've got some serious momentum, and there's a bit of a vibe around them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I think Andy Lee, away from being a lovely bloke, is a very good trainer. There's a great feeling in that camp. You know, you can hear them all when Parker goes up there. He fancies it, you know, and as long as he can move in the fight and he can show feints and just don't stand still. The minute he stands still, and he does that, he tends to do it in fights, he's going to be in trouble. Deontay Wilder just, I think, presumes he's going to take everybody out with that right hand. But let's not sort of take away from Deontay Wilder being, what, 1 round in 2 years? I mean, you're talking about a guy, everyone likes to overanalyse what AJ says. This is a guy that self-proclaimed went into a retreat to take some kind of hallucinogenic medicine to find himself. So where's he at?
How will that affect him?
And he seemed very friendly. I mean, last night we were at photos. He was sitting down talking to Parker, having a chat and a laugh. I mean, he's been very. Looks like he's been on holiday this week.
He's
here with his wife. But don't get me wrong, he's a dangerous, dangerous man. If Parker can get into that fight, and we've seen Wilder come back from behind before. Like look at the Ortiz fight, particularly the second one. Lost every round, but he has the equaliser, and if he hits Parker on the chin, he's going to take him out. And people talk about will AJ come through. Look out for that one as well. Two tough fights.
That's a real valid point. Tyson, he asked Tyson for a bit of advice on it, and Tyson told him, "Got to keep out, don't get hit for 36 minutes," and that's about it. Because if he catches you, you're in trouble. There's no doubt about it. He's so loose-limbed. Everything he throws comes right from these, from his boots, and he catches you, he does hurt. I mean, you've got to look what he did with Tyson in the last fight. He had him on the floor twice.
He absolutely did. Eddie, thank you so much. Brilliant stuff. Stick with us for a moment. Frank, give us the final kind of sell. Why should everyone be buying this tomorrow evening?
Because it's a unique event. You've got 8 fights in their own right, are all top of the bills, and we've got a situation here which is unique and never happened before. So I don't know, what time are we on the air tomorrow? What time's the first fight? 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock. Sit there and fight after fight after fight that come through, and they're all good quality fights. This is a real Christmas present for the fans. Brilliant, brilliant card. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Eddie Hearn. Thank you, Richie Woodall as well, who joined us today. We are now just hours away from the Day of Reckoning. Do not miss this. Simply one of the best boxing events, maybe the boxing event of all time, coming up tomorrow night.